Halifax, small place, little city, East Coast, biggest in our four Atlantic provinces of Canada. But there's a million people here, a city of 300, 400,000. But we, as a little faraway place from Mexico, we've been there almost 30 years, building public companies and building mines. Um, I'm a securities lawyer by training, only TSX and TSX venture deals. We've done a lot of good ones. I'm on the National Advisory Committee, one of 7 or 8 people in the country for the TSX. When your regulator asks you to tell you how to do things, they must think you must know a little bit. So we're proud of that because a lot of the deals I've done has been for this very group. Build the public companies, and many times buy other public companies we need assets for. We'll show you how we did that with the Tiger, and in the end, sell them to companies like Agnico Eagle. So we've built 3 large mines in Mexico in our almost 30 years. We have developed 2 more and sold them to majors. And the last one was a little over 2 years ago. We sold our Santa Gratuitous project to Agnico Eagle. You all know who that is. And now we have 2 companies running in the race here, our group. A more senior company called Go Gold Resources, which I built for the group, and about a market cap of $700 million, 80 million US in the bank, in production at a beautiful Los Ricos production asset. Pay some attention to that company if you haven't so far. And then we have our true junior. We always have a little one earlier in the food chain, heading in that same direction though. El Tigre is the asset it has. Silver Tiger Metals, about $150 million market cap, close to 30 million in the bank, and really onto it at the old El Tigre mine. You're gonna love this, an old American mine. I'll talk about that in a minute. We're in Sonora, if you're familiar with Mexico, the northern end of that prolific Sierra Madre trend. It just goes that way for about 1,000 miles. You Americans have been written a bunch of movies about that. I've watched a few of them. We find them entertaining. But that's where we are. And we've been there for a long time. Always ask 2 things when you're going to invest with somebody. Full stop. How long you've been in the jurisdiction? Not how long you've been in the mining game, running around all over the world. How long you've been in that jurisdiction? We answer 30 years. Second question is, how many mines have you developed and sold to majors? Or more importantly, how many have you built? If all those answers are a short period of time in the country of origin and no mines, none developed and sold to majors, I don't write my check, but you guys can do whatever you want. We tick those boxes. Those are the most important 2 boxes. That experience is invaluable. Look, here's what we have. El Tigre. Had to have it. Our technical team were with us almost 30 years, Mexican and Canadian. I got called, as I usually do, to Mexico at 17-ish because I had a job to do. This asset you're looking at here was owned by a public company, a Canadian company called El Tigre Silver. They've done a wonderful job putting this package together and bringing it along to the point where someone with our experience would be very valuable in helping get this asset over the top. It was a public company. As I said, owned all this, and my team told me we had to have it. And so in the end, I ended up buying for about 11 million Canadian that public company, El Tigre Silver. Just the process in that is that company gets delisted, and this asset you're looking at here went into El Tigre Silver around 2017, very, kind of at the bottom of the market. So a good time to have this asset and really attack what's happened here, especially in the last year. It's a big land package, guys. It's 35 kilometers. That's 30,000 hectares, 25 kilometers. The Sierra Madre went right through it. But look, that's not why we bought it. There's all kinds of tick boxes. We're garbage men, guys. There's no new discovery in Mexico. Everybody can tell you how great they are. We've been finding mines for 30 years. You always find them around or under the head frames of old Spanish and or foreign-owned mines. Many of those American that closed when the Great Depression set in 1930. We'll talk about that. This was why we bought it right here, that old El Tigre mine. I'm going to show it to you underground. You'll find it fascinating. Basically 100 million silver equivalent ounces came out of that old American mine from 1908 to 1930 at an average grade of over 2 kilograms per ton silver. Unbelievable grade. Highest grade one we'd seen, and we'd looked at almost all of them. We had to have it just because of that. Now, it was very interesting to us that the same veins the old timers hadn't got at, which I'll show you, run for 10 kilometers north and south. And we found 2 new types of mineralization since we've been there. Wide halo open pit from surface that we've delineated, drilled off a 43-101 resource on. We put our first 1 million ounces on the books of silver, and I'll show you that here shortly. in less than a year after owning this thing. But some of the new stuff outside of these narrow, high grade silver veins that we found is really incredible and setting us apart, I think, from our peers. We had to have it, and so we bought it. Why was it sitting here? You have to understand Mexico. All of Sonora, that state I showed you, really all across Mexico, Americans were in there dominating the mining from 1900, 1890 to 1930, and then they got through the Mexican Revolution, but 1930 killed them all. This big mine, which I'll show you, just closed. Silver went from $1.33 to less than 10 cents an ounce, and everybody went home. Cheese Pod just to the south is the exact same thing. We'll talk about that. That's kind of who everybody's comparing us to, all these smart analysts out there. I will mention now before I forget, Jesse, you can get it, or I can get it to the guys you want to. We've become the darling of the street in Toronto, which is fantastic because we delivered, and we basically have coverage from. Yeah, I think it's Stifle, Echelon, Sprott is covering us, Beacon, and of course Red Cloud put out great coverage on us. We also were invited and attended as a small company for their standards, the Big BMO mining show. It's always held annually every year in Miami a couple of weeks ago. So kind of moving up the food chain quickly, but lots of research available. If any of you want to really see the deep dive on the independent geologists for all those banks, we can send that to you by email. Jess, you just hook us up. I'm sure you've seen Red Clouds if you work with them. And most the consensus pricing, we're about 55 to 60 cents Canadian right now. Consensus is about $1.30 in the next 12 months from all the analysts. So we'll see. We think we can quickly grow into that. So look, we loved a lot of other things about the project that if you know Mexico, you have to understand. No Hito, no native peoples, all that 30,000 hectares. We basically have agreements with the ranchers to explore it, exploit it all. We've never basically explored all, I'm sorry. We've never not had a Hito on our projects in our almost 30 years in Mexico. Excuse me. Uh, you'll see probably about a little over a year ago, I bought the 6,200 hectares right in the middle around the old mine. Reason, we that was the point where we proved paperwork to follow that we think this is an economic deposit, which means we'll build a mine here or somebody will. We bought that for 1.1 million. All the dollars I talk about, unless otherwise indicated, are Canadian. And put that under our control. Just nice to have the land ownership besides all the mineral ownership inside the boxes with concessions. And in COVID world, and we've been very successful in that. It's nice when you think about it. We drive right into the mountain, which is very accessible. A 2-hour drive from Hermosillo, a city about 1.1 million. Come right down that highway, federal highway. We're 80 kilometers from the U.S. border, and we drive right to the mountain. But because there's really no communities except this one, 40 kilometers, we really have a COVID bubble. We built that all last summer. We told everybody we would drill until September. We didn't. We got ready for being off the mountain for a while because of COVID. We've had no issues. We have medical staff up there. We test on the way in and out. We have just operated seamlessly through that process, and that's very good because COVID is it is hot in Mexico as it is in some parts of the United States. That's the word I would use for that. Other things we loved about it, the royalty is still intact. The El Tigre Silver Company did a great thing there. They bought all the concession holders out, so I retain that full royalty to exploit down the road. That will be valuable. When we sold Standard Gratuitous, I think we ended up getting almost $20 million for that royalty, USD in the end. We'll talk about that in a minute when I show you some of our other projects. Lots of water on site for exploration, but just really nice to have the old this Angostura Dam very close for down the road when we have an economic deposit or when we're moving more towards building the mine. Excuse me. That's about the highlights from what you see here. Let's have a quick tour in the neighborhood. So I think it's important that you understand the who we're around, why it's important, the trend we're on. But before I go there, go on our website, guys. All you guys want to do your own homework. We're on Verify. You can go look at all this 3D slide presentation. There's so much just in behind, like the buttons that you can see. As an example, you'd probably be interested in what this old mine looked like. That was a big American mine. Look at it. There was 1,000 people up there. They ran the power line from Arizona. They took out that 100 million silver equivalent ounces in record time at 2 kilos. And they shipped the ore for a while back to States, and they built this big mill. But there is so much on our website, the history, which I think some of you might find fascinating. So I direct you there, and I direct you to do a deeper dive and verify.com and get inside of this 3D slide deck. Let's spin the map and look to the south. And I want you to see this because, first of all, it's about team. I told you guys that we've been in Mexico for a long time. This group has built a lot of mines, sold into majors, and it's that experience that we are so lucky to have and be able to use as we explore El Tigre. Santa Gratuitas is the project that the team worked on several years ago. It was very similar. We, as a group, another company, Gogol, bought another public company called Animus. They thought they had a nice moly deposit. We thought it was a great gold deposit. We paid 9 million USD for it, worked on it for a little more than 2 years, spent about 9 million USD, and we sold that. You'll see the name on it now is Agnico Eagle a couple of years back for 120 million USD by the time the royalty was sold. So, that's what our team is capable of. That's what you need in the jurisdiction you're going to invest in. Full stop. Make sure you always look at that team and their track record. That's the best advice you'll probably get on this call today. Cheese Paul, look, all of the analysts are calling us the next Cheese Paul. Eric Fear has done a great job. He's been in Mexico with the same amount of time as our group, out of Vancouver, Canada. He's built Santolini. You can see it to the right after selling that to First Majestic. This was his next project in 2017. And why I'm telling you this is when you find these new discoveries, how fast they can exponentially grow. And we think we're going to be on that track as we continue to drill and explore. He had a Spinco. He took an asset, an old underground silver mine, smaller than the Tiger, vintage 1900 to 1930, Swiss owned. Everybody went home there in 1930, exactly as they did at the Tiger because of the Great Depression. His assets sat for over 80 years like ours. He dusted it off in 17 at a market cap of $3.5 million. Today he has a market cap of $1.3 billion. He's had some great success with the drill bit. Our results are at early stage where he was. We're just getting going, doing the same thing, drilling what the old timers left us. No new discovery. Drill around and under old mines, and it's amazing what you can find with new technology and new exploration. A great success story. Our results are as good or better at the same point we are at with our exploration. So great days ahead for our company, we think. Let's go talk a little bit. I think what I'd like to show you now, guys, I think you'll find fascinating. Look, we're not going to get into the geology too much. I'm not a geologist. I understand it because I've been working here for 25 years in Mexico with this group, helping them on the building the public companies and helping to run them in the corporate markets. Not a geologist, but you don't have to understand too much to understand Mexican geology. Large, low sulfidation epithermal systems. Full stop. Those are always the big ones. What you have is real simple. You have an upper volcanic, top of the mountain, a lower volcanic. It's that transition zone in between where most of these epithermal deposits we found and many found in Mexico are. This is exactly cookie cutter what El Tigre is. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is what we've been working on for almost 30 years. And as you can see, it's in that transition zone that these veins, you're looking at what we're going to talk about mostly for the rest of the day, that 5 or 6 kilometers of that prolific Sierra Madre trend, where basically these veins all daylight. We basically, when we got there, you can see the old El Tigre mine. We're going to talk about what we did there. We took the first 1,000,000 ounces on the first pass. Boy, did the old timers ever leave us a lot more. And we're getting into that now. And of course, what we did up here in that first 3 or 4 kilometers going north, same veins, same structure. And what we've seen up there is absolutely fantastic. Very, very similar to what was at the old mine. Even when they mined it, they left us a ton up here, not even touched. We're just getting going on that. And remember, these veins go for 10 kilometers and 15 kilometers that way. One thing I do want to point out, because it's important, it's that first type of mineralization. This is high grade, half meter underground quartz veins, high grade silver. That was what the old timers, that's all they wanted. What we saw when we first went there, see that yellow? I'm going to call that the yellow rock, the El Tigre structure, just a layer that goes between the upper and lower volcanic. It's about 100, 150 meters wide from surface, and the veins all come to surface. We walk on the minute. We saw about 100 to 150 meter, 120 meter wide halo of gold mineralization outside the high grade silver veins. That's all across that. We drilled 1 million ounces of that off, even when the over around the old mine where they'd already mined the veins out. We expect to see all of that as we go north and south more with the high grade silver veins in it. I'll show you some of that. Why that's important. The old timers just used to walk on that. Their cutoff grade was about 700 grams in that mine. Incredible. So they left us so much of this, what they didn't consider ore, which today is very valuable ore, besides all the underground high grade silver veins they left north and south for us. So let's go look at the old mine. I think this is the most, for me, the most powerful slide in the deck. Well, the results are pretty good. We've been hitting too, but for me, this is really an incredible slide. There's the old mine, big American mine, big operation. They went along strike for 1,600 meters. You saw the mills, etc. 1,000 people working up there. They went down dip on that clavos. They were chasing that ore chute. That's what we call in Mexico, clavos, ore chute. That thing goes for a kilometer. They stopped. Remember, they all went home. 1930. They all just went home, and they left, stopped mining midstream. They went to 450 meters. They went down 15 levels. You can see those. What's really powerful, I'm going to rotate this so you're looking plan view from the top of that old mine to see all the stope levels where they went down 15 levels. And there were 3 veins. The black is what they took out. And if you look, that's the stope. Look what they took out. It almost disappears. It was a half a meter. It was probably the most incredible grade, for sure the most incredible grade we've ever seen in Mexico in our time there, where this El Tigre vein came together with this Sites Kelly vein. This was all kilo stuff. Beautiful 2 kilo stuff. In here, that's that heart of that clavos, which goes for a kilometer. We'll get down under 450 at some point. We're drilling close to surface now because there's lots there. In here, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 kilograms per ton silver they were mining. Unbelievable grade. The nice thing we like is 2 things. On this vein, they went down 250 meters, 450 meters. It goes for a kilometer. When they went home in the Sites Kelly, a kilometer of this vein, they only went down about 150 meters. And on this vein is very important. The Sui, we're going to talk about it. This is one we're just back to now. It's what the old timers left us. They only went down to 150 meters. And that vein we've now traced, never touched for another kilometer and a half, and for a kilometer going north. We'll show you some more of that. We had a real win, guys, in what we did, in that, you have to mine, but you have to mine data. Every time we get one of these old mines, we try to find all the records. We were very lucky. Anaconda was a big American mining company. Some of you may remember it, one of the biggest in the world, 1910, right till 1984, 85. It was bought by Statoil, and they put it out of business about 3 or 4 years after they bought it. That ended up being BP, that oil company. That happened across the globe. And this company had projects all across the globe. They found all the big copper mines in Sonora, et cetera, et cetera. They were in here for 1 year on an option agreement in 1982. That was the luckiest thing that ever happened for us, because when they showed up for that 1 year, and then they were put out of business shortly thereafter by the oil company that bought them, so they never came back. They rescued all the underground mining records. All the paper records were still there, incredibly, after 80 years. And they ended up in the University of Wyoming. We tracked them down in the museum at the University of Wyoming, the mining museum there, in the Anaconda collection. All the Anaconda materials from all over the world are there. We spent months there. We hired research analysts. We found all of the underground mining records. Every stope, every level you saw, all the way to the bottom of that mine, samples every 5 feet. So we know everything that was in that mine. Here's the incredible part. In the bottom level of that El Tigre vein, in the bottom level of the Sites Kelly, and in the bottom level of the Sui, where they stopped mining. Remember, they went home, and no one ever came back until us. Everything they were mining when they stopped was 2 kilos. Incredible. So, we've just got our first holes down underneath the Sui. I'll show you what we hit. We couldn't have hoped for, we couldn't have hoped for more. We'll show you some of that. Can't wait to get the first holes under here. But what we did when we first got there, is we call it the low-hanging fruit. We drilled about 12,500 meters. We bought 10,000 meters from that public company I acquired. And we said, let's put a resource on the table. That yellow rock I showed you, that band, that outside of the silver veins takes up a gold mineralization, about 50, 60 meters on each side of the vein. We see it to the north. I'll show you that. Beautiful stuff, because it's from surface, so it's all open pittable. It only goes down. You'll see it there for about 150 meters, 100 meters. That's all of our drilling. You can see it. And what you're looking at there is 1 million ounces of gold that we drilled off in less than a year, 43,101, about a gram, around the mined out. Now think about that, guys. The mined out middle LT grade vein where the old timers took all of that high grade out of it. All the veins we're seeing here, here, and to the north, not mine, so far we drilled, they're all sitting in that, and the high grade veins in it too. We'll show you some of those results shortly. So I think you see what we did. We grabbed that first, and then what we did, and I'm going to orient you so you can go back. We need to go back to that map, and let me just take you, here we go. This is probably the one to show you it on the best. Maybe this one. Okay, what we decided to do then, you can see it here. It's a beautiful picture, that 5 or 6 kilometers. We only started exploring, guys, back on the mountain getting at this in September 15th, 3 drill rigs. We phased them in one each month to December. And so what we did is we started drilling some holes down here around the old mine. First drill program was to drill around that LT grade vein. We put 12,500 meters, million ounces of gold in an open pit around that vein where it was already mined. You can see where the old timers mined, only the black. The red, around that old mine they left us. We're going to talk about that. Got some drill holes in here we'll talk about. But when we got there in September, October, what we did first was we said, okay, where's that next ore shoot? There's never one big deposit in Mexico. We've discovered Ocampo. It's a 10 million ounce deposit. There were 7 to 8 large pits, which mean you go into a pit first. It's a clavos, that ore shoot, and then you fall to great depth. We think along this trend, and we know there will be more of the ore shoots. This was an ore shoot, clavos, first one at the old mine. Next one we thought was here. Because those same veins going north, different names, and that same LT grade had all come together. Remember, guys, old timers stopped. They never got up here. They did a little exploration, but they never mined it. So the first results I'm going to show you are going to be here. Fantastic. Came out through early December. The next results I'm going to show you will be a new vein we discovered, the Benjamin vein. First, a new discovery in January. Our follow-up holes, if you saw them yesterday, absolutely fantastic, wide, high grade. But there was a real game changer hole that took place when I drilled just underneath where the old timers stopped mining on the Sui vein, the western vein. And that was a game changer for the company. That result came out in February, and our follow-up holes as we step out south on that are nothing, less in our opinion. And I'm saying this, not as a promoter, but I'm talking from our technical team doing this for 25 years. Just a game changer, and absolutely some of those results even surprised the team. They were that good. We'll get to those. First, we're going to talk about these, and we're going to talk about the Benjamin discovery that came out. So this was December. This was reported at the end of January, and this new discovery in February. Let's go talk about drilling to the north. We're now 2 kilometers north of the end of the old mine. I told you we get that yellow band of rock called the LT gray. You can see it right here. It's very important. You understand that. 100, 150 meters wide. These veins to the north, they have different names, but they're the same veins extending from the old mine in that same LT gray formation. Same LT gray formation we drilled the million ounces off in with our eyes closed, even though the veins were gone. Up here, it's beautiful because we're now 2 kilometers north and the old timers didn't touch it. So this is a 3-kilometer stretch. We just started drilling probably middle of September, got the second drill on middle of October. And here's the results you see. We hit exactly what we wanted. All of our drilling to this point, to the end of December, was in the top 100 meters over of the structure. This goes all the way for another 800 meters. We'll get to all that. Okay, we've got a few holes in this flat formation now. I'll show you. But remember, at the old mine, the old timers went right through, took the vein, and went for another, went for a half a kilometer. It goes for a kilometer. They didn't want anything to do with this. It was too low grade. They just wanted that. We want it all. That's what we're after right now. And there's a third type of mineralization I'll get to. So you got the high grade veins up here, the Kaylee and the Protectora continuing. You see it sitting in that wide gold alteration zone. All of our holes, our first discovery hole was about 40 meters, 50 meters from surface. You can see it right here. Hole 144, we hit 0.8 meters of 10 kilos, 7.3 of real silver. That's the same bonanza they took out of the old mine, all these veins intact. And what we really start to see in these shallow holes is we started to be, we like getting 2, 3 kilos, 10 kilos in the vein. It's beautiful stuff. But we as miners really like this 25, 30, 50 meters of this gold halo. Look at this hole. This is how we report the holes up here. There's two types of mineralization. This is perfect example, this hole 145. We love that zero point 0.8 meters of 3.7 kilos. That's super high grade silver. All of it, almost all of it silver. That's 30 meters from surface. But we really like the 26 meters of 2 grams per ton gold that's disseminating out in this great plumbing, because the plan will be El Tigre is backwards. We drilled off a beautiful pit after the old timers took all the high grade out of the El Tigre vein. And it's still very economical. Up here, we're just going to do the first pits, and we're going to take the vein and the material. And then at some point, you go underground like the old timers. We think this, we have holes at 700-800 meters already. We tested it. This will go for a kilometer, but you're only going to get the high grade silver vein then as the rock tightens up. So that was easy. It's real easy. It's exploration, step 25 meters. Do it again. And it's fantastic stuff. We'll keep hitting up there. You can go look at the results. We don't have enough time to go through them all, but we couldn't have been more pleased. They came out, it's tough market when they came out around the end of November, early December. Things kind of had slowed a little bit then, quiet period, but we were so happy with the results. Let's go back to the map. This was the new discovery that came out in January. And now, as we see it evolve, we see how that's really starting to tie into that western vein at the old mine. They call the Sui vein and the Benjamin. There's a connection there. Didn't know it at the time. The Benjamin vein, we're now end of November. The guys want to do a little more. They've been banging away in this new clavos. I showed you the results, fantastic. But they want to get a few holes in this vein. They found it. That's named after my 14-year-old son. The old timers didn't name this one, so we named that after him when we had the discovery. We didn't remember we drilled this the end of November, first week of December. We didn't see the results until third week of January. I'm going to show you those results now. We only put 3 drill holes in that Benjamin vein, but boy, were they ever exciting holes. So the first one that went in the core box was 3 meters. One. Now remember, here's something I need to explain to you. These are now our first deep drill holes, because remember, we just drilled the top 100 meters around the old mine for the resource, and up in that new clavos 2 kilometers to the north. Now we're about a kilometer north where the mining stopped, but we're deeper in the system. As you come down the hill here, remember that nice yellow 150 meters where the gold disseminates out outside those super high grade silver veins? Well, here it's a little different because it's called erosion. That's gone now. It's gone. It's eroded away. So we're now down deeper in the system. Even though these holes are only 200 meters, they're really 350 meters. And now you're starting to see the layer cake. Very important, very simple. All of this 7, 10, 12 kilometers is a layer. You always have that top beautiful El Tigre, then the cliff, the flat, tabular, and agglomerate. But as you remember, just a kilometer south, the old timers just blew right through all of this down to a half kilometer, and that's so our first deep holes. Boy, were we ever excited about them. I'm going to blow that up, see if you can see it a little better. First hole through was 3 meters, 1.3 kilos. This is 100 meters from surface. Everything hit all 3. And so we basically had to just get back to that the 1st of January and start stepping out. It just got better. Those results were yesterday. We started stepping out on this one to the south. And I'll show you those results. I think I have them here. I mean, look at that. I mean, incredible. Those are those first discovery holes. Get back in January, start drilling again with a drill rig. And I mean, we put another 6 holes in it. There's the highlights of the 3. 5.6 meters of a kilo. This is all 100 meters from surface. This is all open pit material. 2 meters of 1.433, but look at the width around it. 14 meters, half kilo, 12 meters of almost 270. This is beautiful, valuable ore. There is a reason why this is very important, and that will be the third part of the story, because we now think, and we always had a theory that this new Benjamin vein that we discovered and have put these holes in as we step out 25 and 50 meters, showing the strike length, is a continuation of the Sui vein. Now, let's go back to my presentation, and we'll start to see why that's very important. This formation is becoming very important, guys. The Tiger, the high-grade quartz veins. This is where we're seeing this third type of mineralization. You always knew we'd get those high-grade quartz veins. The old timers, there's kilometers and kilometers of them. The old timers left us lots of that. But what's happening here in this flat formation? This is 1.25 kilometers north of what I'm going to show you now is the game changer hole. And remember, it's in this same layer in the flat formation. Let's go back to our map because this is very important just to orient everybody in what we just did. Million ounces were the first pass on the old LT grade vein from surface, open pit, low to ground. Beautiful stuff. Vein was already gone. That's on the books. 43,101. The bankers love it. Number two, we said, okay, we think there's another Clavos evolving up here. We drilled September, October on that one. First results out 1st of December. I just showed you some of them. They couldn't have been better. Wide gold zone around super high grade silver, all from surface 40, 50, 60 meters and open pit and then go underground. Now, through discovery, Benjamin, I just showed you those results and I showed you the follow-up results from the next 6 holes. What we're doing here is very close surface, 100 meters, stepping south, and we are on it. We are hitting. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that this is a fault. These are all the same veins, but this vein was probably that vein. You can see it, the Sui, the western vein of the mine, was probably that one. That's was drill holes we put in here were 1.25 kilometers north of what we're going to look at right now, which is hole 202, which was a game changer hole. And I'll show you how we stepped out, 125 meters to the south already, and we're still in that. This is the hole 202 drilled to intercept the high-grade Sui vein just underneath where the miners stopped mining. Let's go look at that. This was a game changer hole. We drilled this hole about December 15th. We didn't have the result till February. When we put it out, it was, even we were surprised. We knew we were onto something because we were getting indications from the mountain that they were seeing some amazing stuff, just before Christmas in the core box. Here's what happened though, guys. We missed. Sometimes you miss. We were not intending to hit this. This is that third type of mineralization. Yellow, big gold dissemination around the veins from surface. Old timers use that to walk on. It's going to be open pit for us. The old timers wanted this. That's all they wanted. They wanted that super half meter of 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 50 kilograms per ton silver. And they took it. And on the Sui vein, that western vein, they only went down to 150 meters. So we thought. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to test the down dip, just get underneath where the mining had stopped. And we expected we'd get in the vein a kilo, 2 kilos, because that's what they were mining when they stopped. But we missed. And we were too high because on the drill, we know, as we've done this so many times, when we went through that in December, we got to report off just 2 geos in every drill rig reporting, every 6 hours, photos, the whole thing. We hit the void. So we went through the mining stope and we said, wow, we must not have been low enough. Why we weren't is we thought there were 7 levels on the old Sui. It went down about 160 meters to 8 because we went back to the University of Wyoming immediately in February and we figured out why we were missed. But serendipity, good exploration, let that drill go. Especially, this is the first time around that old mine that we've ever drilled anything deeper than that. So we let it go. This was incredible. This was, we could not believe. We went through the footwall, which is the other side of the vein where we'd missed. And all of our drill holes now, so they've been a little deeper. Now we're getting the vein and we're getting this new, what we call pillar or mineralized zone. We'll talk about it. We did not expect this. And when we saw this result in February, the entire technical team were on the mountain the next day looking at that. It's a wide mineralized zone. It's not vein. This is the quartz vein. This is the third type of mineralization on the mountain, and it's holding 12 meters. It's all 100 meters from surface, guys, 150 meters from surface. 12 meters of 700 grams per ton silver, 22 meters of almost 400. It's as this flat formation. Remember, this is that same layer, the Benjamin, big discoveries, wide zones, 1.25 kilometers in the north. Old timers never touched this. They wouldn't have cared about this. All they wanted when they looked for the mine was that super high grade quartz vein, half meter. It looks just like your countertops, guys. That's what it looks like. This was a game changer for the company, a new discovery. And what we've now done is, and I'll show you the results as we step south on this and we keep going south, 25, 20, 25, 50, 75, 100 meters. We're still in this and we're getting the vein because we've gone a little deeper. Let me go show you those results. Why this is important, and before I go show you the results, this is probably some of the most valuable ore we've ever drilled. It's probably within open pit distance. It's for sure long hole mining, not narrow vein quartz, and it's holding, and it's really holding as we go south. So you're in a parallel structure where you're going to have the high grade silver vein and this pillar or mineralized zone heading south in a hurry. And of course, now very intriguing, we kind of get into the same stuff on the Benjamin, which looks like it is the Sui, as we said in our press release yesterday, 1.25 kilometers north. So this thing is looking big and high grade in a hurry. Let's go look at those results. And where are those at? Yeah, I think the next one I can show you will be, this is when we stepped out, and you'll see we just keep hitting it. We're hitting it. That was the next holes. We've now stepped out in all these sections. What you're looking at here, guys, is sections, and this is how we drill this. As you can see, just keep going south. Step out 25, 50 meters, drill it, and you can see we're still in it. 4 meters of 810. We're getting in the holes now that we're below it. We're starting to see down lower. We're getting the main too. Real simple. Just keep going. You can see we here where we've hit it again, like to 9 meters of 630. Look at the high grade core in it. This is not a vein. This is a mineralized zone that's parallel and following south this tree. It's almost like this flat formation, which nobody ever mind. The old timers would have ignored it because they only wanted that high grade vein. It looks like it's holding. We've got a parallel structure, high grade quartz vein, and a big sponge like mineralized zone. You can see we just keep going south, and then you'll start to see not only are we getting the mineralized zone, but we're now gone a little bit lower with the drill, and we're picking up the Sui vein. As you can see there's 1.3 meters of 1.4 kilos, exactly what we thought we'd go when we went down dip under where the mining stopped. The drilling here, and you can see it just continues. We're over 100 meters south of hole 202, the discovery hole, and we're in it, as you can see. Easy to see what we're doing. We'll go back to the plan map, and they're all on this. You can go look at this on our Verify. I'll blow this up so you can see it a little clearer. You can really start to see how this is all lining up. There would be, as you can see here, hole, 202, which we put just down underneath, and that was the discovery. And then you just start going through. There's 203 hits it, and then you get 207. We're out about 100 meters in that, solid, hitting both vein and that wide mineralized zone, all close to surface, potentially open pittable. You'll see results coming now in the next couple of weeks as we step, another 100 meters and then another 100 meters south, and we're in it. As we get a little further south, you can see what's really nice is this Sui vein. The old timers only went a couple of 100 meters on it. When you get down here further, they never touched the main either. So we'll have that all from surface. Now where it's getting very interesting and very new, as of yesterday in that press release, is look how this is lining up if I blow this up. Just on this one vein portion, you see all the other veins. I mean, this was absolutely fantastic. This was fantastic. This became so again, game changer hole. We immediately had to move 2 drill rigs down here, one off the Benjamin to help with this Sui. So what we're seeing with all the results now is you know what we're hitting as we go south. Okay, this thing goes for another kilometer or more. This is very interesting. Now we're starting to see, you can see the holes we put up here in the Benjamin where that discovery was. And I just told you, now we've got 8 or 9 holes through that thing coming south in that same flat formation. You're looking at a strike length here of over 3 kilometers on that one vein. And if you remember, all of what's so exciting about it is it's all in this beautiful, beautiful flat formation. There's the Benjamin, all in that flat formation close to surface. There's the Sui, that same flat formation, just continuous for kilometers. So getting very exciting, guys. We couldn't have hoped, and we've been doing this for a long time. We couldn't have hoped for better results in the first 6 or 8 months getting back on the mountain of COVID. We just couldn't. We all like to predict. I knew we'd have lots of high grade quartz vein. I knew we'd have lots of open pit bulk tonnage material lining up in that beautiful yellow rock, that El Tigre. Did we think we'd come on to this unknown for 100 years or more on the mountain. No one ever talked about it. Even the and this was extensively looked at. Go on our website. There are papers written in 1920, 22 by a guy named Mishler, one of the most renowned geologists in North America. He was out of New York. He actually wrote them in the journal, the New York Geological Journal. You go read them. He was spent like years there, at this mine. It was the most high grade mine in Mexico, and he talked about really one thing: those quartz veins the old timers had. Didn't talk about the big wide zones from surface and that yellow LT grade. He certainly didn't talk about this basically zone of mineralization, but he wouldn't have, because that's not what they mine. But what we always knew, and I give the technical team full credit for this, I take none of it, but what they always told me, and my partners always told me in this, we've been doing this so long, and the skill, when we get back, Glenn, this, what happened here at this old mine was the, was the, was a once in a 30 million year occurrence. The grade in that mine, we call it the hottest spot we've ever seen. We always knew when we started getting up here and drilling around it and under it and through it. What did the old timers leave us? They left us that lots of quartz veins, lots of that yellow LT gray structure from surface. They walked on that. That was just for walking on for them. But this new mineralized zone, just an incredible discovery by the team. I'll show you a couple things. And I'll talk about money and the capitalist things that you need to consider. When we bought this, very fortunate to be able to acquire that public company, and with that public company came fantastic partners. Those guys were great shareholders. They really moved that project along, and it was just such a great partnership. And we hooked up with many of those shareholders out of Edmonton, Alberta, in Western Canada. They're still shareholders today. They're so happy because they're in the money, and we've made a success of this together. But when we bought that public company from them, we don't, I'm going to show you this. We bought 35 kilometers of the Sierra Madre. That's what that is. That's massive. But to put in perspective the work we've done now, that's 25 kilometers where we've had our geos on in the last several years since we've had this thing. We bought it, make no mistake, for this reason. We bought it because of that old LT gray mine right there. And you know what we found there? We drilled off there already, and they left us a ton there. But as we've got across this is 25 kilometers, guys, we've done the work on already. This is a district. Okay, that's why you get it. The garbage men got it because of that. But we knew the potential here. That's that 3 kilometers going north where we found that new clavos and we drilled it. That's the only part of this that's ever had our drill holes, any drill holes. We've got 12 kilometers south. Look at that thing, all ours. Same veins continue. You can see them. We're picking them up here. 3 mines down there, El Toro, Luvidora, La Mancha. We've been in all high-grade gold and silver, all in that beautiful yellow LT gray. We go north, you go down the canyon, you get lower down in the system, a lot more high-grade gold and silver throughout it, a lot more base metals, which is a good thing to have today. Look at all these little mines on this map. We put them all there. Small little mines about the same vintage. And then the big Pilares mine we've been in. As I said, lower in the system, more copper, base metals, but high-grade gold and silver. We'll get to that. This was the best one. This was the most exciting, I think, something we haven't done any work on is drilling, but we will. When we got on the other side of the mountain, and remember I showed you that yellow layer, lower part, top of the mountain, we saw that LT grade, you can see it, the formation, that yellow rock came out on the other side. So we got our geos over there in the last year or more. And because our theory was, well, if that whole vein set is on this side, why wouldn't it be on this side? Well, it was. That's the Santa Maria system. We've named that. We've sampled it, high-grade gold and silver. We had to add 6,000 hectares to our land package to get that all in. We did. But the point is, that's the only place drilled. You'll see in this year, into next year, the first drill holes coming out of here, and in time here. That's going to be very exciting. That's what we think. Right now, we're going to tend to our knitting and what I talked about, 3 drills turning nonstop. Money. Look, money's been very easy for us. You can see some of the analysts there on our list that cover us. That's full coverage. I told everybody, and maybe one of you guys that's on there, I forget who was the shareholder. I told everybody how we do things. We raise money. We raised our money in the summer. We raised $11 million at 30 cents. I did a half warrant at 50. And what we always like to do in our group, the Go Gold or us, is we like to use that money for our shareholders. My goal was, and I told everybody that, I'm going to raise my next money at double that, 60 cents, and I'm going to not have a warrant attached. That would be full success for me. Did I think that we would get that done in February? I thought we'd have to spend the full 11 to get there, but we didn't. We had great results. We delivered, as you can see, and you know where we delivered. We delivered all across those 5 kilometers. We delivered first that we had the resource, a million ounces. We delivered the new evolving Clavos results in December. We had the new Benjamin discovery. You saw that, beautiful holes in the release yesterday. And then the game changer hole 202, that new mineralized zone down under the Sui. All the money we raised, 11 million, was institutional in September. It was the 11 million to get going. We spent about 6 of it. Our share price was about 65 cents. I was very pleased. We've traded, oh my goodness, probably traded 150 million shares, or floats a couple hundred million since September 15th. So all of it around 50 to 60, around 50 cents, I'd say on average, Canadian, of course. And, I think the institutions were very, very pleased with how we progressed. We announced as you probably saw, $20 million bought deal financing at the price I wanted to do it at for my shareholders, and told them it will double from September at 60 cents with no warrant. We're very pleased that I don't think any shareholder could not be pleased with that if they bought it last fall. And we now have $28 million in the bank to attack that. And that's what we intend to do. We don't drill holes for drill holes. There's only one way we survive. And I will say, I'm not going to say publicly because I haven't had the permission yet, but 4 funds, 3 of them US based, they would be household names to everybody on this call, took the entire raise of the 20 million, went through the shoe at 23 and 60 cents. So very pleased to have that support. If we deliver, capital will be unlimited for us because of the size institutions, only precious metals funds focus that we brought in. That being said, what we've learned in Mexico is you don't survive on, I got a good drill hole, stocks going to go up. No. What every drill hole has to do is it has to move the project forward. We will do all of our drilling to deliver maybe end of this year or early next year, our next 43-101 to add to our first 1,000,000 ounces of gold in that open pit halo around the old LT grade. It'll be high grade silver. We will deliver with that the next part of the project, which is called the economics. It will be a PEA. It will be the first move towards building a mine here, because everything we do as though we are going to build the mine. You drill off high-grade ounces, and you move it towards economics, pre-PEA, pre-feas, feasibility. And that is the only thing, if for some time we don't build them, we built 3, sold 2 in our time there, is if you are going to sell to a major, they want the exact same thing. They want the project with lots of high-grade ounces with the economics already done, which is the first step in PEA. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see results coming out every couple of weeks. Those 3 drill rigs will turn to 4, and then to 5, and possibly to 6 this year. And we're going to get at that. You'll see those first drill results maybe late in the year coming out from those. I showed you some of those. That's what to look for. Those what we would call the real green fields. This being the brown fields right now. We're working on resource. Green fields there, and there. You'll see the first drill results, but that's what you should look for. But really, you want to invest in a company that's going to basically tell you that we're going to drill off ounces with the money we have. We're going to move the project forward. We're going to deliver a 43-101 with those economics on it, with a PEA. That's how you create real value. A drill hole to drill hole. Some guys play that game. That's all we play. I'm the largest shareholder, probably got about 14 million shares under my control with some stock options and warrants. I paid for all of it. I got over 2 million of my own dollars in here. There's no free stock for our group. We always fund these early days and build them from there. My management team, the same. Together, we own 16.6% of the company. We never sell any stock. We get out 1 of 2 ways. We build a mine, and there's such great liquidity years from now that we can sell some stock, or we sell it to a major. Full stop. That's what we do. We've been doing it for a long time. we're very, very excited to have been able to put under our control in a time when silver is becoming that infra metal. It can't help but continue to go up. It's precious. It's industrial. It's they now call it Nemo and all the smart people the infra metal. It's if the world we see evolving, the green youngsters want their battery cars, all roads lead to silver. If they want solar power, all roads lead to silver. They want their 5G, all roads lead to silver. They can't build it without it. So, we see as having what we think is the next great silver district in Mexico. We're pretty well positioned for the next decade. So that's all. We would love to have you on the share register. I know some of you are already shareholders, so I hope you're pleased with this update. We did what we said. And what I would like to do this time is I'd like to take that $27 million, and the next time we go and we raise money from these institutions, I have done enough that I've more than doubled everybody's value. You can't always guarantee that, but I can tell you what my goal is, and that's what it is. So we'd love to have you along for the ride.